Life can break you in ways you never imagined. Some days it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders, crushing every bit of hope you have left. But let me ask you, what if happiness isn't something you wait for, but something you fight for? Even in the darkest moments, what if the very storms meant to drown you could actually teach you how to rise higher? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to push yourself to be happy even when life feels impossible. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to the Guidance Hub, a place to heal your heart, uplift your soul. Don't forget to subscribe. Happiness is one of the deepest desires of every human being. Yet many people spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment to feel it. They imagine that joy will come only when circumstances align, when money is abundant, or when every problem disappears. But the truth is, life never offers a moment free from challenges. And waiting for perfection is waiting for something that never arrives. Happiness is not a destination you reach after all your troubles end. It is a state you can choose in the middle of those very troubles. When you understand that happiness is an internal decision, you reclaim control over your life. You stop letting external chaos dictate the way you feel inside. You stop allowing the storms outside to determine your sunshine within. Happiness becomes a conscious response, not a delayed reward. Many people believe that once they achieve their dream job, buy a beautiful home, or find the right companion, happiness will automatically enter their lives. Yet countless individuals with these very things still struggle with emptiness and dissatisfaction. This proves that happiness is not locked in possessions, status, or even relationships. It is an outlook, a mindset, a way of perceiving the world. Even in poverty, some hearts remain light, while others with abundance feel burdened. What makes the difference is the lens through which life is viewed. When you choose happiness, you decide to focus on what you have instead of what you lack. You learn to find sweetness in small blessings rather than bitterness in unmet desires. This shift is what sets free the soul from the prison of circumstances. Of course, life brings pain, disappointments, and setbacks that are beyond our control. Losing a loved one, facing rejection, or battling illness are experiences that shake us deeply. But even in these moments, we still carry the power to shape our response. Choosing happiness does not mean ignoring pain or pretending it does not exist. It means refusing to allow pain to become your permanent identity. It means feeling the hardship, acknowledging it, but still holding on to hope and light within your heart. When we choose happiness, we are not denying our struggles. We are declaring that struggles cannot define our lives. It is an act of strength, not weakness. It is courage in the middle of chaos. Think about a rainy day. For one person, the rain ruins plans, brings discomfort, and becomes a reason for gloom. For another, the same rain nourishes the earth, cools the air, and reminds them of nature's blessings. The event is the same, but the reaction is entirely different. This is the essence of choosing happiness. It is not about changing the rain, but changing the perspective. When you train yourself to see meaning, beauty, and opportunity in what happens, your happiness becomes unshakable. Nothing outside can control you anymore. You become free from the chains of temporary conditions. Your mind learns to rise above circumstances and rewrite the meaning of every event. Happiness then becomes less about control and more about perspective. Every day, we are faced with choices that determine our mood and outlook. You may wake up tired, facing a list of problems, but you can still choose to start with gratitude. Instead of complaining about what is missing, you can thank life for what is present. Instead of being weighed down by what went wrong yesterday, you can decide to embrace today as a fresh start. This conscious choice builds resilience and joy over time. Like a muscle, the more you exercise happiness, the stronger it becomes. Soon, your default reaction to trials is not despair but determination. You realize that happiness is built in the small decisions you make daily. It is not a gift handed to you, but a practice developed with effort. Happiness is also linked to acceptance. Much of human misery comes not from events themselves, but from resisting them. When things do not go our way, we often waste energy wishing reality were different. But when you accept life as it comes, you find peace even in hardship. Acceptance does not mean you stop working to improve your life. It means you stop fighting what you cannot change. This acceptance frees you to use your energy on growth rather than resistance. And when you accept life, you can choose to find happiness within it. This is why some of the most peaceful people are those who have learned to let go of what they cannot control. Consider how often people postpone their happiness. They say, I will be happy when I finish school, or I will be happy once I am married, or I will be happy when I retire. The problem is that when one milestone is reached, another condition takes its place. Happiness is always pushed into the future, leaving today empty. The reality is, if you cannot be happy now, you will not suddenly be happy later, because happiness is not hidden in the future. It is found in the present. If you train your heart to see blessings today, you will carry happiness with you into tomorrow. But if you keep waiting for perfect circumstances, you will wait endlessly. Happiness is now or it is never. The ability to choose happiness is one of the most empowering realizations a person can have. It returns control from the outside world to the inner self. You are no longer at the mercy of others' opinions, temporary hardships, or material conditions. You can be calm in the middle of chaos, hopeful in the middle of loss, and joyful even when nothing seems ideal. This strength is what allows people to survive hardships that might break others. It is what makes a soul shine even in darkness. When you hold this power, you stop fearing what life may bring because you know your happiness is safe inside you. It cannot be stolen by events. It cannot be taken away by circumstances. It is yours because you chose it. Choosing happiness also has a ripple effect on those around you. A person who carries joy within spreads it to others effortlessly. Their smile becomes a source of encouragement, their words become uplifting, and their presence becomes a relief. On the other hand, someone who constantly chooses negativity drains energy from everyone they meet. By choosing happiness, you are not only serving yourself, but also serving the people around you. You become a light in a world that sometimes feels heavy. Your decision inspires others to believe they can also rise above their struggles. Happiness becomes contagious, and your choice becomes part of someone else's healing. Ultimately, happiness as a choice is about freedom. It is about freeing yourself from being controlled by life's ups and downs. It is about no longer being a victim of circumstance, but becoming a master of response. It is about realizing that while you cannot control every event, you can always control your outlook. And once you take ownership of that outlook, life feels lighter and burdens feel less suffocating. Every morning you wake up becomes another chance to choose joy regardless of yesterday's pain. Every challenge becomes another chance to prove to yourself that your spirit is stronger than your storm. Happiness then ceases to be a distant dream and becomes your daily reality. Gratitude is one of the most powerful tools that can transform the way we experience life. Especially in difficult times, when challenges strike, the natural response is to complain, question, or focus on what has gone wrong. Yet those who practice gratitude learn to shift their gaze toward what still remains, what still works, and what blessings are still present. This shift does not erase the hardship, but it changes how the hardship is carried. A grateful heart is lighter, calmer, and more resilient in the face of struggles. Gratitude gives us strength because it reminds us that even in loss, not everything is lost. Even when doors close, others are still open. This ability to see the good amidst the bad creates balance, peace, and hope. Consider a person who has lost their job. The first instinct may be despair, frustration, or anger. But when gratitude enters the heart, the focus moves toward the skills they still possess, the people who still support them, and the opportunities that may lie ahead. Instead of being paralyzed by loss, gratitude gives them courage to rebuild. Gratitude shifts the energy from what is missing to what is possible. It reframes challenges as temporary and survivable. Even in unemployment, the grateful person can recognize the blessing of health, time to reflect, and the chance to grow in new directions. Gratitude does not solve the problem instantly, but it strengthens the will to keep going until a solution is found. Hardship often narrows the mind, making it fixate on pain, which can feel overwhelming. Gratitude works like a light in a dark tunnel, guiding the heart toward clarity and calmness instead of drowning in negativity. A grateful perspective reminds us that life is never all bad at once. There is always something, no matter how small, that can be appreciated. It may be as simple as the ability to breathe, the presence of family, or even the lessons that hardship itself brings. This mental shift gives people the courage to rise again and face each day with purpose. It is gratitude that keeps the spirit alive when circumstances try to crush it. Without it, despair easily takes control. With it, hope remains alive. Gratitude also builds inner strength by training the heart to look beyond temporary struggles. When someone loses something they value, gratitude helps them recognize that their worth is not tied to what they lost. It teaches them to appreciate what cannot be taken away, their dignity, their faith, their resilience. Gratitude makes people unshakable because their sense of fulfillment is rooted in deeper values, not fragile possessions. A grateful person understands that while money, status, or comfort may come and go, the ability to be thankful ensures stability in any condition. This kind of strength cannot be bought. It is cultivated through practice and perspective. Gratitude becomes a shield against despair and a bridge toward recovery. Imagine facing illness, a time when the body feels weak and every day brings discomfort. Gratitude may seem impossible in such moments, yet it can be the very medicine that heals the soul. Gratitude reminds you to value the people who care for you, the doctors who try to help, and the moments when pain subsides. It helps you cherish the strength you still have rather than only mourning what you lost. By focusing on what is still working instead of only what is broken, gratitude gives peace even in sickness. This peace fuels patience, and patience strengthens endurance. In this way, gratitude becomes the quiet power that keeps a person standing when everything else tries to bring them down. Gratitude is also deeply connected to perspective on life itself. Many times, what feels like a hardship is actually an opportunity in disguise. Losing one path may open the door to a better one. Gratitude allows us to see beyond the surface pain and trust that there may be hidden blessings waiting to be revealed. Even when clarity does not come immediately, gratitude helps the heart remain calm until the bigger picture becomes clear. It teaches us not to label every difficulty as misfortune, but to remain open to the lessons within it. Often years later, people look back and realize the hardest moments were the ones that shaped them into stronger, wiser, and more compassionate individuals. One of the unique strengths of gratitude is its ability to shift focus away from comparison. Many people suffer not because they lack, but because they compare themselves to those who seem to have more. Gratitude cures this poison by redirecting attention to personal blessings. When you count your own gifts instead of someone else's, you realize how much you truly have. Gratitude frees you from jealousy, envy, and dissatisfaction. It creates contentment, which is the foundation of happiness. A person who appreciates what they already possess finds joy that wealth cannot buy. Gratitude, therefore, turns hardship into a reminder of abundance rather than a list of deficiencies. The practice of gratitude is not only mental, but also emotional and spiritual. When you express gratitude daily, whether through words, reflection, or prayer, you are training your heart to remain strong under pressure. This habit creates resilience that grows with time, even in the smallest gestures, such as thanking someone for their kindness or writing down things you are grateful for. You are building mental strength. Gratitude becomes a habit that rewires the brain to see light instead of darkness. Science itself shows that gratitude reduces stress, improves health, and increases emotional stability. It is a simple yet profound practice that multiplies strength in times of weakness. Gratitude also connects us to others in powerful ways. When you express thankfulness, you strengthen relationships, build trust, and invite more kindness into your life. People who are grateful attract positivity because their presence makes others feel valued. This sense of connection is especially important during hardship, when loneliness can make struggles heavier. Gratitude keeps relationships alive, which in turn provides support, encouragement, and strength. In this way, gratitude not only sustains the individual but also creates a network of resilience around them. A grateful heart finds allies, while an ungrateful one often drives people away. Thus, gratitude transforms hardship into an opportunity for deeper human connection. Ultimately, gratitude is not about ignoring difficulties, but about choosing how to see them. It is about refusing to let pain erase the blessings that still exist. Gratitude transforms hardship into strength by reminding us that even in the worst of times, there are still reasons to hope, to smile, and to keep going. This mindset turns struggles into teachers and obstacles into stepping stones. When you live with gratitude, you begin to see that every challenge carries within it seeds of growth. And by appreciating the present moment, even when it is not perfect, you discover a strength that carries you through storms and brings you closer to peace. Life is a journey filled with constant changes, and no season of hardship lasts forever. Every challenge we face, no matter how heavy it feels, eventually passes with time. When pain surrounds us, it often feels endless, as if it will never lift. But history proves otherwise. Think back to moments when you once thought you would never survive, and yet here you are, stronger than before. The truth is that every test has an expiration date, and endurance is what carries us to that moment. Understanding this truth eases the heart, because it reminds us that suffering is not permanent. Even the darkest night eventually gives way to sunrise. Trials are not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. They are not life sentences, but chapters that prepare you for growth. When you view challenges as temporary, you prevent despair from taking over your mind. Hardship may surround you today, but tomorrow has new opportunities waiting. This awareness gives hope, and hope becomes a powerful anchor in the storm. Without hope, a person collapses under the weight of difficulties, but with it, they find the courage to keep moving forward. Each test we endure stretches our capacity, teaching us patience and resilience. Pain may visit, but it is not meant to live with us forever. If we can endure the storm, we will discover clear skies waiting beyond it. Every struggle contains a lesson, and every lesson contributes to growth. Nothing we go through is wasted when we choose to learn from it. Tests also shape character in ways comfort never can. Ease rarely pushes us to grow, but hardship forces us to dig deeper into our inner strength. When we face loss, we learn the value of gratitude. When we encounter failure, we develop humility and perseverance. When we suffer pain, we gain compassion for others who suffer too. These qualities are rarely built in times of comfort, but are forged in fire. Just as gold is purified through heat, human strength is refined through trials. Every challenge is therefore not only temporary but purposeful. It leaves us different than before, stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the road ahead. Without tests, we would remain untested, fragile, and unprepared for the weight of life. It is easy to mistake difficulty as punishment, but many times it is preparation. Life has a way of teaching us through experiences that stretch our limits. A setback may be guiding you to a greater comeback. A disappointment may be clearing the way for something better. The pain you feel today may be building resilience that you will need tomorrow. By remembering that tests are temporary, you learn to endure with patience instead of giving up in despair. Growth never happens instantly, and often it is the hardest seasons that shape the deepest parts of our character. This is why so many successful people point back to their struggles as the reason they became who they are today. In the middle of hardship, time feels painfully slow, and each day can feel like a mountain. Yet if you look back on previous trials, you realize how quickly they passed once you overcame them. This reflection builds confidence because it proves you can survive again. Just as seasons change, so too do the conditions of life. Winter eventually becomes spring, and sorrow eventually makes way for joy. When you remember that time itself is a healer, you learn to hold on with patience. Even the longest nights have an end, and every test runs out of strength eventually. What feels unbearable today will become a memory tomorrow, and what feels impossible now will become a testimony later. Challenges also expose hidden strength within us. Often, people underestimate their own resilience until life forces them to face trials. You may not know how strong you are until strength is the only option you have left. Tests reveal courage, determination, and endurance you did not realize existed. Once you come through them, you look back amazed at what you were able to handle. This realization builds confidence for the future because you understand that if you survived before, you can survive again. Each test, therefore, becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. It builds evidence in your life that you are stronger than your fears. Temporary pain becomes permanent proof of your resilience. Temporary tests also remind us of the importance of patience. Many people want immediate solutions, but growth rarely comes quickly. A seed takes time to grow into a tree, and a person takes time to mature through challenges. If life solved every difficulty instantly, we would never develop endurance. Patience is what carries us through the waiting season, and patience itself is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. It keeps the heart steady when everything else is uncertain. It teaches us to trust the process and not rush the outcome. With patience, even the hardest trials become manageable. Without it, even small difficulties feel overwhelming. Tests are temporary, but the patience they build lasts forever. There is also beauty in realizing that no pain is wasted. Every test you endure can one day serve as encouragement for someone else. When you share your story of survival, it inspires others to believe they can survive too. What once felt like your greatest weakness becomes your greatest testimony. Hardship equips you with empathy and wisdom to guide those walking the same path. In this way, temporary tests create lasting impact beyond your own life. They ripple outward, touching hearts and giving strength to others. Without trials, your story would not have the same power. Every tear you shed can become someone else's reason to keep going. Some tests strip away comfort and force us to focus on what truly matters. In times of ease, it is easy to become distracted by material things or fleeting pleasures. Hardship clears the clutter and brings clarity to what is essential. It reminds us of the value of health, relationships, kindness, and inner peace. When tests end, you emerge with sharper priorities and a clearer sense of direction. The temporary discomfort becomes a permanent source of wisdom. It shifts your mindset from chasing what does not last to appreciating what truly matters. And that is a gift only hardship can bring. It transforms perspective in a way comfort never could. Remembering that every test is temporary also prevents hopelessness. When pain feels endless, hopelessness takes root, but when you know it will pass, you can hold on. This knowledge empowers you to endure with dignity and courage. You stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn? You stop seeing life as unfair and start seeing it as a teacher. You stop waiting for circumstances to break you and start using them to build you. Tests are not meant to be forever, but their lessons are. Each one leaves behind strength, patience, and wisdom that cannot be taken away. The test ends, but the growth remains. The people you surround yourself with have a tremendous impact on your happiness and resilience. When life gets difficult, the company you keep can either lift you higher or pull you deeper into negativity. If you spend time with those who constantly complain, criticize, or focus on the worst, their energy becomes yours. But when you connect with people who encourage, inspire, and remind you of hope, you find the strength to keep moving forward. Positivity is contagious and it spreads through conversations, attitudes, and actions. Choosing the right environment is therefore not just a preference, it is a necessity for emotional survival. Even in storms, being around uplifting people feels like having shelter. They remind you that you are not alone. They remind you that light still exists even in the darkest of times. Life is not meant to be lived in isolation, especially when challenges arise. Struggles can feel unbearable when carried alone, but they become lighter when shared with supportive people. A positive environment creates space for healing, laughter, and encouragement, even in moments of pain. It does not erase the struggle, but it gives strength to face it. Surrounding yourself with people who believe in you is like borrowing light when your own flame feels dim. They remind you of your worth when you forget it. They remind you of possibilities when you only see obstacles. Positivity in relationships acts as fuel for resilience. It lifts your spirit when it feels too heavy. It becomes the difference between giving up and holding on one more day. Purpose is just as important as positivity when it comes to navigating life's hardships. Without purpose, pain feels meaningless, and meaninglessness leads to despair. But when you anchor yourself in purpose, every difficulty becomes part of a bigger picture. Purpose gives you direction when life feels chaotic. It reminds you that your struggles are not wasted, but connected to growth and impact. People who live with purpose find strength to rise again because they know their life has value. Even when they fall, they rise with determination because they see their life as part of something greater. Purpose transforms ordinary days into meaningful ones. It turns hardships into stepping stones towards something important. It ensures that even in difficulty, life still feels worth living. Surrounding yourself with positivity also means being intentional about what you consume. It is not only people who shape your mindset, but also the words, images, and ideas you allow into your life. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity through news, gossip, or toxic media, you will find it harder to feel joy. But if you choose uplifting books, inspiring messages, and hopeful stories, your outlook shifts toward light. Protecting your mental environment is just as important as protecting your physical one. Your thoughts are shaped by what you allow in. And if you want happiness, you must be careful about what influences your heart. Positivity is not an accident. It is a choice of what you welcome daily. It is a garden you must protect from weeds. At times, surrounding yourself with positivity requires letting go of people or situations that drain you. This is not always easy, but it is necessary for your well-being. If someone constantly belittles you, discourages you, or spreads negativity, keeping them close will damage your spirit. Choosing happiness sometimes means creating distance from toxic environments. This act is not selfish, it is an act of self-preservation. You cannot thrive in soil that poisons your roots. You cannot find joy in an environment that constantly tears you down. Protecting your peace is part of protecting your happiness. And once you do this, you make room for people who genuinely uplift and inspire you. Surrounding yourself with positivity requires courage to make these choices. Purpose is also found in service to others. When you focus only on your own struggles, they feel heavier. But when you extend kindness, compassion, or help to someone else, your pain feels lighter. Serving others creates fulfillment that hardship cannot take away. It reminds you that your existence matters and that your life can bring value beyond your own circumstances. Even small acts of kindness can reignite your sense of purpose. By contributing to others, you find meaning in your struggles and strength in your giving. This does not mean ignoring your own challenges, but it means not being defined by them. Purpose-driven living makes even the hardest days bearable. It transforms suffering into opportunity to create good in the world. When you surround yourself with positive people and live with purpose, you begin to see hardships differently. Instead of being obstacles, they become opportunities for growth and clarity. You realize that life is not about avoiding pain, but about using it as fuel for your journey. Positivity teaches you to find joy in small victories. Purpose teaches you to find meaning in setbacks. Together, they create an unshakable mindset that carries you through storms with resilience. They remind you that challenges are temporary, but the lessons remain permanent. They remind you that while life is hard, happiness is still possible. They remind you that your story is still being written, and the ending is worth the struggle. In difficult times, it is easy to lose perspective. But positivity and purpose keep your vision clear. They remind you not to define your life by a single season of pain. They remind you that joy still exists and that meaning can still be found. When you surround yourself with the right influences, you gain the courage to keep going. When you live with purpose, you gain the strength to endure. Happiness then becomes not just an emotion, but a lifestyle rooted in intentional choices. These choices protect your heart, strengthen your spirit, and guide your steps. They make life bearable. Even when it is hard, they make happiness possible. Even when it feels out of reach, they create a foundation that hardship cannot shake. So push yourself to be happy even when life is hard, because happiness is a choice worth fighting for. Choose to focus on gratitude when your heart feels heavy. Choose to remember that every test is temporary and builds you stronger. Choose to protect your peace by surrounding yourself with positivity and purpose. You cannot always control what happens in life, but you can always control how you respond. You can choose joy in small things, even while waiting for bigger breakthroughs. You can choose light Even when surrounded by darkness, you can choose to rise even when life tries to pull you down. And when you make these choices, happiness becomes not a dream, but a reality. May you be blessed with peace and happiness. This is the Guidance Hub. Stay inspired and remember to subscribe